1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's a bit soft. Can't I use the other one? Okay, the one that was here. Or did you send it for? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear there clearly? 1, 2, 3. Okay, I can temporarily put it up here. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No, that doesn't have a big effect. 1, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, can we please rise
Okay.
as we welcome the members of the Executive Council and esteemed guests. Thank you very much.
Are very strong. Where's the machine? The machine?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2.
Okay. Right here in the background. How far is it? Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tosora Maema. I will be conducting the sermon this morning. although I don't have a Bible in my hands. We are going to stand and just observe a moment of silence, as we usually do, for 1 minute. Thank you. We may be seated. Allow me to introduce to you our guests, starting with our members of the executive. We have with us member of the executive, Ndate Mashinini, responsible for police roads and transport. That you may raise your hand, your right hand, please. Thank you very much. Next to him, we have Ndate Ngangisa, who is the MEC for COCTA, Ndate, and also representing MEC for Finance. Next to him, we have MEC Tiu, MEC for Health. On the extreme, I'll jump one seat. Next to Matthew, we have the Director General, Ndate Radikonzana. Next to him on the right, we have Ndate Duma, HOD for COCTA. On the left of Ndate Mashinini, we have Professor Ngoi, Vice Chancellor CUT. Next to him, we have Ndate Dr. Kutse from the UFS. And then we have Ndate Nokweku, HOD Distia. We have Ndate Masiteng, acting HOD Agriculture and Rural Development. I think that is all. We are here today to talk about the 4IR summit that is expected to be held in the Free State in Bloemfontein on the 28th and 29th of the very month we are in, which is a few days from now. And to explain where we are in terms of the 4IR, we will have a presentation which will be done by the Professor Ngoi and Ndate Kutse from UFS. That will then be followed by a panel which will include MECs and HODs, maybe the Director General, to say to us what are the expectations from themselves of the outcomes of that particular summit. What do they think it's going to assist with? And thereafter, we will have a question and answer, very short from yourselves to the panelists, and we will all try to field answers. And thereafter, we will allow a few minutes of interviews with the media houses. Are we clear? Okay. So, generally, let me just start by saying the industrial revolutions have come and gone. We are told we are in the fourth one. But do we know what the first one was? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. What was the second one? And what was the third one? Because now we are on the fourth one. So I'm hoping that Ndate Ngoi, you're going to tell us what the first one was, what it did to humanity and society, of what use it was, then the second, the third, and now what are we expecting from the fourth? Whether we are there or not. Some people argue that Africa is still dark Africa, that there are pockets of excellence, but in general, we are still in the first revolution. So we need to dispute that if we can. With those few words, I'm going to call upon Ndate Ngoi to give us the presentation. Are we ready? Thank you. You have a mic. Okay. The lights are very strong. That is Chava. Where are you? Are we ready with the presentation? Hmm? Okay. Yeah, it's up there. I'll have to have a seat myself.
Yeah, please.
So ready for it? Okay. Oh, okay, good. So just kill these lights. Yeah, good, thank you.
1, 2, 3. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a short demonstration of this facility. We are going to look at the night sky. Maybe people didn't warn you that you are actually in a spaceship. I hope you have your traveling documents, passport and so on with you. Okay, let's just make it dark. Okay, just a few comments. You can see there the sponsors of the planetarium, the founding donors. We have the new MSc of Destia here. At that stage, 2013, it was still DETIA. All 3 levels of government with the university took part in the foundation of this facility, and you can see our various other donors. Okay, but let's move on to what we can actually show people with this facility. Okay, there are so many lights on, we should try to make it darker. Aha, that's a bit better. Okay.
Something dropped here.
1, 2, 3. Okay, the first thing we do, we will try to figure out the speakers a little bit later again. It was working. I first take us to the date and time, the current date and time, and then we will move forward. You can see the sun there. Hello? Okay, it's still off. Okay, you can see the date and time there in front. High up to your right, you can see the sun. And now we can go fast forward in time. We will move the sky till after sunset tonight. And while time is running forward, we can look at the sky. You can see the beautiful Milky Way. The interesting thing is the sun is in the sky, but it is dark. That is because we moved our spaceship to above the atmosphere of the Earth. So when you are in space, space is dark. There's no atmosphere to reflect the sun's light. Okay, let's just try something here. Yeah, it's switched off. Okay. Let me see here. Um, Okay, it's almost sunset. You can see the sun approaching the western horizon. For the sake of direction, you will notice that north is in front of you, west is to the left, east is to your right, and of course then south behind you. So we'll take us to about 8 o'clock tonight, and I will show you what you can really see tonight. Okay, that's good enough. Now almost everything that you see in the sky are stars. But there are a few exceptions, and those are the planets. To assist us, switch on some labels. And now, look to your left. See the laser pointer there? And you can really go and look at the sky tonight. Take your family out. And you see a very bright object in the west, just above where the sun sets. That's the planet Venus. Just above that, another object also bright. Those two are the brightest objects in the sky tonight, other than the moon. That's the planet Jupiter. The other planets you will not be able to see. They are indicated there. You need telescopes to see them. Now, actually, we always find the planets close to that line, the ecliptic line. Just to give you an indication of how things change if you would move forward one day. So, notice the date there, the 19th of November. I'm going to, you should now observe what's going on there with Venus and Jupiter. And just move forward one day, and you will see the relative motion there. Can you see? The planets are moving. 2 days forward, 3 days. Okay. The planets are moving, the stars are not compared to time. No. Okay, we are back to the okay, now I will try to show you some other things that you can try to see in the sky tonight. And I'll start with some pictures. In the old times, the people used the sky to tell stories. And in those stories were all kinds of features, mythological features. You need some imagination. But let's show you one of them, scorpions. You see there? You can see a scorpion over there. And then there's Sagittarius, the archer. Has the body of a horse, head of a man. And now let's move forward in time that I can show you the other part of the sky.
1, 2, 2, 2, 2.
Now look now towards the east. Now we are moving into the middle of the summer, And these are the summer constellations. We can tell nice stories about the summer constellations, but the different cultures on Earth had different stories. I will quickly tell you the story of Sun people. You can see there a star representing the Sun Hunter. The Sun Hunter had 7 wives, represented by the 7 sisters. The 7 sisters also have two names, Silimela. Actually, we can see only 6 stars with an unaided eye. Through a telescope, you can see there are many stars. So the Sun Hunter was sent by 7 wives to get some meat, to go and hunt, and he saw 3 zebras. He took a shot with his arrow, but he missed. There's the arrow. That was his only arrow, and he can't go and fetch his arrow because there's a lion waiting for him. So he can't return home, he doesn't have meat, and he can't fetch his arrow. So that scene is fixed like that to remind us of the poor Sun Hunter. Now in the Northern Hemisphere, they had another mythology. It's a well-known constellation of Orion the Hunter. Now it's not difficult to find Orion the Hunter. You can see the name Orion there. You look for the 3 bright stars known as the 3 kings. They represent the belt of Orion. In the Southern Hemisphere, we see this figure of the hunter upside down. So there's the head, you can see there's a bow, and he's fighting with Taurus, the bull. With 2 long horns. If you don't believe me, there's the bull. And there's Orion the hunter. Okay, now let's look at the time. It is about 10 o'clock tonight. So 10 o'clock tonight, you can go out, look towards the east, and you will see these 3 bright stars, and another star, the brightest star in the sky. So you can't miss them. So early evening, you look towards the west, and now that spot to your left has moved on. We no longer can see the planets, but that's what you have to look for early evening. And a little bit later, before you go to bed, you look towards the east to find Orion, and in the northeast, you will really see those stars, the 7 sisters. Let's just clean up. I quickly leave the Earth. With this spaceship, we can't just look at the skies from Earth's environment. We can actually leave the Earth. That's what I'm going to do. Fly away from the Earth, go in an orbit. This distance, let's look at something
1, 2,
that's
3.
very
1,
important
2.
for us nowadays, and that is space technology. At this stage, we are looking at the Earth
1, 2.
from the night
1,
side.
2.
There's the sun. This part of the Earth pointed towards the sun.
1, 2. 1.
It's of course daytime. Now, a very important group of satellites are the GPS satellites, because when you use your navigation, you use those satellites. They are their orbits. Quite a number of them, they are grouped together, so there's always about 4 satellites above your horizon. That's what you need to identify your time accurately. And then there's another important group of satellites, especially for communication. And those are the geostationary satellites. You can see they form a ring. I will actually switch on their orbits to emphasize them. But just imagine all these satellites going around the Earth. These are man-made artificial satellites. There's the ring of geostationary satellites, and the next satellite that I will switch on is a natural satellite, and that is the Moon. There's the orbit of the Moon, 400,000 kilometers from the Earth, 10 times further than the geostationary satellite. Remember, when you see that circle there, the bigger circle, the orbit of the Moon, that is the furthest human beings have ever traveled. And this year, it is 50 years since the first landing on the Moon. So it's actually a year in which we celebrate. Now, this was a very short introduction to what we can do. We can take people to the outskirts of the universe, and we can also show full dome movies. Now, let me just give you a very short idea what a full dome movie are. I will load a very short one, but I'm just going to show a short section to give you
1, 2, 1, 2.
Okay, there you have a full dome. You can see the International Space Station flying over, the Hubble Space Telescope. Okay, this is what we mean by full dome. You're welcome to come and visit us on Saturday evenings. Each Saturday evening we have a public program, but we also arrange programs on bookings. We have many school groups visiting us. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this very short demonstration. And we have to go back to Earth. And have to land. Land on Earth. It's very quick. We hope it's a soft landing. We are back on Earth.
One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
I will quickly reinstate the sound. I will see what I can do. Okay. It's going. Okay, so, okay. Now let's see. Okay. I will see, I will. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do.
1, 2.
Just get the image.
Ja, dieser Sound.
me go and see what I can do to this.
Two.
Okay. Thank you, Program Director. May I start by acknowledging the Premier, Madam Premier, thank you for being here. The members of the Executive Council, welcome, sirs. The heads of department who are here. And I'm told also there are trainees who are pursuing the fourth industrial revolution skills. Then members of media who are here, thank you very much for coming. And ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't mention you, it doesn't mean that I don't recognize you. The presentation which I'm going to make is a quick one to show the overview of what this fourth industrial revolution is and how we are preparing ourselves for the next week and going forward. So I'm going to talk about the four areas here. What is the four phases of industrial revolution, which Ramaima wants to hear. And then we'll talk about the technologies which are in place, and we'll talk about how does it help Free State to develop on our growth and development strategy. So going quickly forward is that there are four industrial revolutions. The first one is based on steam and water, where we could have the trains and we had the printing press. And during this first industrial revolution, South Africa did not participate. When the first trains were made, South Africa were still using horses. It took 80 years for us to be able to participate in that. Then the second one was the one which was driven by electricity. And here, that's why you had the first and second. But in the third industrial revolution, they decided to participate. And you can see their participation made the economy change completely. Again, unfortunately, South Africa and Africa did not participate into that one. Now, moving forward then, we have got the fourth industrial revolution, and this one is not based on one technology. It's a multiple technologies, which I'm going to show you. And the good thing about this one is that you can combine different technologies to come with a hybrid technology and carry out certain things. So here is where now our president say we can no longer be bystanders. And then he took action. And we are meeting here in order to see how the Free State is going to participate in this matter. Here is just going to show the various areas of fourth industrial revolution, because it has become a word which people think is a word, but actually it has several technologies. And the first series is cyber. You might have heard of artificial intelligence, where machines think like people and carry out the work which people do. So some of you have heard of Siri on your phones or Alexa. Okay, these are examples of what artificial intelligence can do. But I can assure you, it's so many, many other things which you can't believe. Then we have got quantum computing. This is a kind of computing which is enable computers to work at much, much faster than what we do today. Then we have got the internet. I believe everybody has internet, Internet of Things, where you have sensors which are connected, they collect information and that information is analyzed. Then we have Internet of Everything, it's similar to Internet of Things. And finally, we have big data, where you collect every kind of data using cameras, using voice, using a written statement. You put them in a pool. It becomes big data. You don't have to structure it. But then you have tools to be able to analyze those data. Then the second category is physical. Physical fourth industrial revolution, where we have 3D printing. Many people have heard that one, but I can say at the beginning that is Central University of Technology is leaders in the country when it comes to that. We'll show you. Then we have got the robotics. We have heard of robots. New materials. There are several new materials which come for aeroplanes and many other things. And graphene. Graphene is a material which you use in your cell phones and the other materials. And finally, we've got biomedical, where biomedical engineering, which combines biology and engineering in order to deal with the human body and the other bodies, and then biotechnology, which is in the same category. If you look at this technology, we are talking about 12 different technologies, which can work independently to give results, but the most important thing is when they work in combination, and they become very, very destructive. So the only thing we want to see is that that destructive nature is to our advantage, not to disadvantage. So, like I mentioned earlier then, artificial intelligence has application in many, many areas. And it's no longer just a talk about artificial intelligence. There are projects which are in place. For instance, we have what is called a swarm robotics, which they mimic nature like a swarm of bees. And they can use robots which move like bees, and they can do a very fundamental function. For example, they can attack a country, and everybody is afraid now. If robots move like bees with weapons, then we are going to have a problem. So we are trying to see how can we use swarm for benefits instead of destruction. So the second one here is for Mr. Machinini, where cars talk with the streets. They have sensors on the streets, and you don't need a driver, because the car communicates with the sensors, and it drives itself autonomously. And this also brings drones, that you have infrastructure which has got sensors, and it directs movement. To the right here is what we know as the smart grid. This is a case where we have electricity coming from different sources, coming from solar, hydro, coming from coal-powered, but they go to the same grid. So the smartness of this, where I use blockchain, for example, is to how to monitor, to optimize the grid. So this one, it comes here. So Mr. Ramayama, when we say the second industrial revolution is electricity, and when we don't have electricity, it means we are in the second industrial revolution. So this one is trying to make sure that we don't go back to that. So here it shows how artificial intelligence is used in schools, in education. The top one here is a case where you have got this robot here, and you have got the teacher. So they work hand in hand, and the process is that as we go along, the teacher is going to be away and leave the robot there, so the teacher can do other activities which the robot cannot do. What we have next here is where you have a student in Kwakwa, for example, attending a class which is being done in New Zealand. In the past, it was very difficult, but a class is done in New Zealand, and the student is sitting in Kwakwa, where he can participate, ask questions, and get the knowledge. Out here is a case where we got a class, 30 students or 40 students. Normally, you assume that they're in the same level. And when you give a lecture, you talk about the same thing. But in reality, each of those students understand differently. So the artificial intelligence is going to be able to tell you the level of understanding of each of those students, where we call individualized. So that when you want to help, you know exactly this particular student, what kind of help they want. You don't just put one assistant, you think that everybody understands. So we believe this one is going to be very effective when you get people to understand and learn on their pace. Finally, here is a case where you carry out your classes besides being in the classroom. In the classroom, you finish, then you can go home and continue your classes because the information is out there. So the second one here is where we use artificial intelligence in agriculture. On top left here is a case where you use a drone to check the health of your crops. Because if you've got a big farm, you talk about having 1,000 people going to see each crop. But if you've got drones properly programmed, they can tell you the health of each product which you have in the farm. This is a case, it's the same case here where we come to the issue of irrigation, where we have sensors on the ground, and the drone monitors which areas do you need to water. You don't want to water the whole world. Okay, so the drone will say now, this there is where to trigger. And the drone triggers where the water is required. So the water we are wasting a lot in our irrigation, but dropping everywhere, is going to be minimized, where you just target the plant which require water and nothing else. Up here is a robot which uses artificial intelligence to sensor whether a fruit is ready for harvesting. Because you use your eyes, you may not tell it, but the artificial intelligence will be able to tell you, and they help you to pick and then process going further. So this is a case where you have integrated farm, which shows the various types of sensors and robots which work in order to have machines helping you to do agriculture. So the next case here is artificial intelligence in health. And here, as you have seen, colleagues, many people have seen you have got wearables where it measures your temperature or blood level, body condition, and that information is taken to a doctor who is not necessarily next door. The doctor can be in India, actually, while you are here in Bloemfontein. And through that information, the doctor can give prescription of what you need to do to cure you. And we may find that that medicine is not in Bloemfontein, maybe it's in Johannesburg or another place. So depending on that nature, you can use the drone to take that medicine to the patient. So without anybody moving, you can have all this artificial intelligence carrying out that work. So again, here is the cases where you have wearables which take the body state and work with experts in order to do that. So you can see now the case here. The role of doctor is going to be slightly different from what it is now. So finally here is the case of use of a blockchain in order to do several things. For example, water, the COXA. This is a case where now you have a blockchain and make sure that the water which comes to the municipality from different sources, you know exactly where it is coming from. And we can also use blockchain for the food chain, where you have food coming to the market and you go to restaurant, and a disease breakout. So if we want to check where the disease comes from in the traditional way, it can take you months before you know where the disease comes from this particular area. But with the blockchain, it will tell you exactly within hours where that disease originated. So this is one of the areas, and it can be used in agriculture also, and it is used very effectively in China, where you say several traders come to the platform, but you should know which trader comes from which area and what they're getting out of the system. So here now, like I mentioned at the beginning, the president of South Africa was bold to say, now we are no longer going to be bystanders. We are now going to participate effectively. And as a result then, he established the Presidential Commission for Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is chairing himself. So the question now is, in Free State, what are we doing in order to be able to follow what the president has set out? So it's good news that in Free State also, the premier on her SOPA address in July, she mentioned very boldly that the Free State is not going to remain behind. It is going to work with Central University of Technology to host the summit. And this is the summit we're talking about in the next week, 28 and 29. So you can see now, it flows from what the president set out to do, the premier has taken to the province, and that's why we want everybody, please, to participate. It's not for a few people, it's for everybody, and as we are going to see the participation. So next year now, it is saying, the major question here now, what is it? What is Fourth Industrial Revolution going to do to us? And the basic line here is that our growth and development strategy. How do we use Fourth Industrial Technologies in order to propel that forward? And everything we are going to talk, we can see, is going to work on that growth and development strategy. Here, it shows then that the people who are going to be invited to the summit is not elites. It's not the university lecturers and professors. It's everybody. And we want to be able to talk about the Fourth Industrial Revolution in the language which anybody from anywhere can understand. It's not an elitist thing, because if I've got only a few people who are working on that space, then the benefits are not going to seep to all levels. And it means we miss the opportunity again. So this is a case where we want to bring everybody during the summit and explain where you don't have knowledge, we are going to have skill development. So that at a particular time, we know that everybody is going to participate. So the next thing I say now, what is expected out of that summit? Where we bring all these people on the 28th and 29th. What is the expectation? So the first one, as you can see here, is to increase the awareness of the utility and impact of 4IRA technologies. We must know the technologies which are there, and we know each of it, what does it do? That awareness alone, that is the first step. Because many people don't know, they hear about 4IRA, but it's just a word. So we must reach a point where we say, when you say 4IRA, somebody who comes from the location, he can tell you, this is what we do with it. This is where it can help us. So when we are called upon to participate, you know it is going to help you. It's not, you are not doing things for other people. The second thing which we want to achieve is to showcase the 4IRA technologies and investment opportunities for the province. Because when we show those technologies and where they can be applied, for example, in agriculture, in small business, then we take the energy of our people in the province to participate. Otherwise, we are going to become a market for other people from other provinces who have got forward and they come to market onto us because we are not taking action. So we believe now by making people aware and by showing them they can participate and invest in these technologies. Then the third one, we want an interactive meeting now of various people, business, academia, youth, to see now in the province what is possible, which areas we can collaborate in the different sectors. Then the fourth one is to deploy the 4IRA technologies to enhance a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. Madam Premier has put this forward in her SOPA, that innovation and entrepreneurship is what is going to drive youth who are not employed. And she can be more right. Because now, once you innovate and you are able to process your product, if we have got the right incubation, then you can become an entrepreneur. You can become a business person. Instead of just sitting and say, okay, we are waiting for government to create jobs. This is the opportunity now where you use these technologies to train people, to have skilled people who can use them now to start businesses. Then the final one is to identify the 4IRA skills that need to be developed in order to contribute to the development of the province. And let me hasten to say, we have already started that process because we have identified 25 youth who are not employed at the moment, and they have already started a program at the CUT, which is equipping them with various skills, starting with cybersecurity, cloud computing, and business analytics. And we believe now, after they finish their program, we'll be in a position to put them in incubator so that they can develop an idea which they can do to business. The youth are here, and the idea of bringing them here and at the summit is for them to interact with the government people and the possible business people so that they can say the skill which they're learning, and after they graduate, at least they know where they can apply it. So here is a case where we are talking about focus areas for the summit then on next week. We are going to talk about the Free State economy, where we talk about mining, agriculture, and tourism. We are going to have stalls which are going to demonstrate how the 4IRA technology is being used in those areas. We are going to talk about health education and related research so that we see how do you use these 4IRA technologies in health. What is already being done today and what are the possibilities going forward. Then we shall talk about robotics, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, so that when people come there, they can ask these questions and experts can explain to them what it is. So that at the end of the summit, people go there informed is our first objective, knowledge, awareness of what is going around. Then here we have opportunities to focus on research and development, transport and logistics, Rabashidin. We had you in mind that we want to improve the transport and logistics of Free State by using the 4IRA technologies. So there's big opportunity where we can use this one. Then we talk about migration. Then there will be academic papers which will reinforce by showing other places in the world how they have applied that, so that we don't just think that we are reinventing the wheel. It has been done somewhere, but we have to contextualize in the Free State province. So here now is how we want to roll it out. What we see now, the summit is going to be the first step of how to take the Free State province forward. Because immediately after the summit, we'll be able to identify the skills which are going to drive our growth and the development strategy. And once we have identified some of them, but we believe at the summit, we are going to identify all of them. Then we are going to use our institutions to make sure that the people are equipped with these skills. The example which I've just given, we have 25 youth who are already starting some of those technologies. And in January, we are going to have 50 youth who are going to pursue 3D printing. But the idea is not to just get the knowledge and paper. We believe that once you have that knowledge, then you must go to incubation. And it must go something. It must come out of there. And this is what we want to get out of here. And in order to be able to do that then, we believe sometime next year, there will be another summit which is going to talk about investment in 4IR. So that one now will be bring president and all business people to say that in Free State, we have already developed these skills. We have so many youths, say 2,000 youths, who have capacity in this area and this area and this area. So the question now, can we put investment now which use these skills which have been developed? So that's what we think going forward is going to work. We are not just going to hold a summit for the sake of a summit. It was to take a stock of what we have today, what we need, and how we can develop that one, and how do we drive forward. So we believe, ladies and gentlemen, that is the beginning of a long story which we are going to take forward. So here I'm just giving a profile of people who are participating here in the summit. We have a vice president of Google Cloud. Okay, he has shown big interest and he has said information. We have a deputy chair for Fire Commission. This is a deputy to the president for the commission, and he has been very active to make sure that all processes are participating. Then we have a representative of Alibaba Group. We talk about e-commerce, where it brings masses to the business and remove middlemen. So this is the area where actually we want it to be showcased. We have Professor Ramakrishna. This is an expert from National University of Singapore who is in the circular economy. For those who don't know, circular economy is different from the economy we have today, where we extract, we build things, and after using those things, we throw it away, and we have so much waste. So this one, it looks fresh. Before you extract, have you planned what you are going to do with the product at the end of the day? So that it can be part of the production. You don't want to throw anything at the end of the day. So he's an expert on that, and Singapore is very advanced when it comes to this area. Then we have Microsoft who are participating by talking about how they use cloud in order to be able to help us, the effort which we are doing. Then we have Cisco, they're going to talk about smart campus. We have Huawei, they talk about smart cities. Again, this is a case of reducing crime, remove congestions, and having services in the city working very well. Then we have Siemens, they're going to talk about health products, how to use 4IR for health purposes. We have Gao Wenjuin, this is big power from China. They are going to talk about batteries for saving renewable energy. Because as you know, when you have solar panels, during the day it's okay, it's functioning. But during the night when there's no sun, if you didn't store it, then there's no way you can work, or when there's no sun. So they have come with an innovative way of getting batteries which can last very long. Then we have these three people come from China. Then we have Dolask, the activist, is going to talk about health, how we use health, the 4IR technologies for health purposes. And then we have a Positivo Technology Group, which is coming from Brazil. They have developed apps and several equipment when it comes to education. So we believe that they will show us the way on this one. Then we have our local speakers. We have Lea, we have Sandiso, we have Nail, and we have Seadimo. And we have bringing more we have updated this one. We believe that the 50 stalls, which we have installed for exhibition, they are going now to be full, and everybody is going to see the little things which are already doing, how do we take it forward. So my premier, and ladies and gentlemen, This is a preparation for this next week, the summit. Like I said now, the summit is the preparation of how we go forward as a Free State. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Professor Ngowi. I'm sure that you made it very simple. I don't really have to summarize anything. We are immediately going to have a follow-up of Professor Ngowi with Dr. Kutse. Your statement, please, if you can, on the board. Yes, thank you very much. From the University of Free State.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the invitation to join you on this very big moment, actually. We've been talking for IR, I think, for quite a long time in our faculty where I'm currently in. I'm currently in the Faculty of Natural and Agricultural Sciences at UOFS, and I'm the HOD for Computer Science and Informatics. So our Vice Rector researchers asked that I just briefly come and talk what our faculty is doing in 4IR, just to give you an idea, specifically the students, what research we are busy with, and maybe to trigger some of your curiosity and to come and study with us in the future. Come and do your masters and PhDs with us. Prof. Marty, if we can just go to the next slide. So we tried. Ah, wonderful, it's working. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing that we did as a faculty it was interesting. It was a very interesting discussion. So we decided, let's just test the ground and the water. What do colleagues think 4IR is? Because there was actually quite a different opinion on that. And it's actually to come up with this slide, it took 26 departments, right, to come up with this. So that's actually how big our faculty is. So the first thing that we said was, obviously the first one was mechanization, the second one was electrification, then came computers. So we see 1, 2, and 3IR as the dehumanization of physical labor, where the machines are doing the work. So that we all know. The fourth one is it's a little bit of a debate at this point in time, but we say it's a dehumanization of intellectual labor, making machines do the thinking. So that is what we currently think as a faculty in these kind of things. And this combines aspects from physical, digital, biological spheres, resulting in cyber-physical systems that, first of all, connect human to digital technologies, and second of all, create a mesh of virtual, social, and physical worlds. So that's actually quite a big mouth of how this thing is going to change the way we work.
It's 11
now,
hours.
I'm not going to go for all of the details, but I just wanted to point out that 4IR is not coming. It's already been here for quite a few years. In fact, when the IMF coined the term, we are scientists, we're already working with 4IR, right? So we were actually like, okay, so finally the rest of the world is sort of work up to this 4IR thingy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to briefly talk about some of the departments. I asked for some slides in the faculty, and they send me what they're currently working on and what they envisage they're going to be working on 4IR. So the first one is, as I alluded, we are the Faculty of Natural Science and Agriculture, so the agriculture economics. So they're already using this, specifically what we call precision crop agriculture. So there's not just the crops, also the livestock. They're using 4IR technologies in that sphere. And they also want to move that towards small-scale farmers, right? Using remote sensing and actually specifically looking at real-time linking up small farmers as well as commercial farmers. Oh, sorry. I think I just put it off. Oh, there it is, back. All right. So the next one is agriculture. Now, people would say, what does agriculture have to do with 4IR? It's actually it's a quite funny story. If we think about living spaces in the future, they will all be connected. And one of the things they come up with was something called, virtual worlds. So, and I asked the architects, what do you mean by virtual worlds? I said, basically, you're going to live in cyberspace. and you're going to conduct your work and your economy in cyberspace, you're not going to leave your home. So I'm not sure how far we are from that, but that is in agriculture, in architecture. And they're also talking about, as I said, interactive architecture as well as nanotechnologies and linking that with biotechnology. So that's currently what they are thinking of when we talk about architecture. The next one is chemistry. They are actually quite far ahead themselves and physics. As we know, those are the two biggest departments in our university. And they are busy from catalyst to nanomedicine to recycling, specifically nanoplastics. We know polluting the oceans and the water rivers. They are working on methods to actually try and reduce that. We've got molecular devices for computing the future, and we've got bioassay for screening possible natural drug candidates. So these are some of the things that the chemistry colleagues are working on. The next one is the department where I'm currently situated. It's computer science informatics. So we've been doing this stuff for quite a number of years. And these are just some of the research that we are working on. So we are quite keen into natural language processing, because that's how you converse with a computer, and a computer converse with a human. That goes with human-computer interaction. We're looking at Internet of Things, eye tracking, blockchain technologies, and natural user interfaces. And inside our curriculum, we've actually got machine learning, neural networks, and deep learning. That's already been part of our curriculum now, starting from next year, to train our graduates in these technologies. The next one, engineering sciences. As we know, we don't have a full engineering faculty in the university, but we do have engineering sciences, where we actually, the students can then, once they finish their 3-year degrees, they can go to Wits or Stellenbosch to continue their studies. And one of the things they are currently looking at is a Center for Digital Data Engineering to drive 4IR research. Because what we are saying is, we're not going to spend time on the traditional engineering disciplines. We are going to skip and leapfrog into digital engineering. That is what, that's one of the visions at YOFS, specifically in engineering sciences. The next one is geography, and they go with geology. So they're already using drone technologies for quite a number of years, where they actually do quite a bit of work on photogrammic payloads. And that goes also with geology. They do something similar. They're also using drones, 2D and 3D spatial analysis, and they're also using microscopic imaging technologies and imaging to actually assist in the field. The next one is groundwater studies. So that is basically looking at boreholes and all the water resources. We know the Free State has got quite a problem with water. So underground water is a very scarce resource that we currently are one of the few universities actually got a program or an institute to do research on this. And they're using 5G technologies to actually monitor boreholes, not just for the water levels, but also the quality of water. What we have found is there's actually a lot of contaminants getting into the water level and then contaminating those resources. And so we need to monitor the water levels and also the quality. And we want to do that on a real-time basis, and they're already working on several projects to do that in the Free State. The next one is mathematical statistics. Now, we've been talking quite a bit about 4IR, and that goes with natural language processing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of these beautiful things, but you need maths. That is the building block of all of these things. So our Department of Mathematical Statistics and Actuarial Science, they are key players in our faculty preparing our students for 4IR, to give them all the building blocks in mathematics as well as mathematical statistics, to do some of the analysis that was my previous speaker was alluded to, big data analytics, BI. You need the maths to actually go and do those analytics expected from you. And also the computers, vice versa, they also need, you need to teach them to do these things, and then they can do the similar thing. Okay, so the next one is biotechnology. So they've actually been quite active in metagenomes. They're using a supercomputer on the campus. I can give you details of the computer specifications, but for the layman terms, it's roughly equivalent to 10,000 i5 laptops. So that is the processing power of the supercomputer we've got on our campus. And they're using that extensively to build protein structures and also to do analysis of genomes. All right, so that's actually some of the active research in that department. The same goes for plant sciences. We've recently had a very interesting discussion where they actually want to use 4IR technologies to detect invasive species, specifically in the Free State. We found a lot of these species, plant species, are coming and obviously taking up scarce water resources, and we want to identify them and then obviously go and rectify whatever these plants are doing. So that's the first thing, and they're also looking at sequencing, again, genomes, and they're also doing what they want to do is do disease predictive modeling, specifically looking at plants. If you take a photo of the plant leaves, you can actually predict if the plant will get sick or not, right? And this is kind of the things that we are already starting to work on in plant sciences. All right, I think I'm almost towards the end. So soil sciences, they're very similar to plant sciences. They're also using drone technologies specifically, and they go with agriculture, doing precision farming. And then geology and entomology, those are the colleagues specifically. They're working on very, very large data sets. We're talking here petabytes and zettabytes of data sets. And they're doing specifically DNA sequencing in a very short time. And they obviously also use the supercomputer on campus for this kind of analysis. And that goes with integrated technologies and also includes automated sequencing and all this kind of process that goes with that. Interesting, they actually want to look at ultrastructural work where they want to use electron microscope and to actually elevate the levels currently of their work and to take them into 4IR working space. All right, so the final one is the Center for Environmental Management. So they are currently busy using GIS technologies to solve specific issues in the Free State. Now we know we've got a drought, so that is one of the things they're working with. They're also working on other disasters like floods and all of these kind of things. So they also they're also trying to use technologies such as predictive analytics to actually see if they can predict these disasters much more accurately. That is my story.
Thanks, Dr. Kutse. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the only presentations that we are going to have this morning. I'm sure that we have clarified now what this 4IR is all about. However, we would want to have our principals to come to the front so that we then have from them, having heard and seen the applications of the 4IR, the possibilities that are endless, what in their own view are their expectations of what the summit holds. If I may request Tate Mashinini, Tate Ngangisa, Metziu, Tate Radikonzana to come to the fore, and Prof, please join them. Prof, over here. This one works, yes, they all work. I need another chair. There's somebody missing. Dr. Kotze, I need you in the panel here somewhere. A chair, yeah.
Fine.
Give me that one,
I
it's
want to
fine.
make you sit smart.
Please join the panel. Thank you very much. We have 2 mics. I need somebody to assist me from the other end.
And if we can cross the line.
No. Okay, that's the purpose of the
Okay.
summit.
We're just going to have a short panel discussion, and we are going to request, starting from, I'm just going to handpick. I'm starting with Dade Mashinini. Please tell us, sir, what is your view of the 4IR in your line of work, in general in the Free State, and what you hope it is going to bring in the future?
No, morning, program director. let me start first with this one. That there is a saying that says change is difficult. And many people do not want to enter into change quickly. But I think in the presentation done by Prof, you also indicated that we are already in the times of Fourth Industrial Revolution. Whether you don't want to enter, it's immaterial, you're already there. Let me go to the area that now I am expecting from the summit. I need an answer, and I think I will be able to assist it. One of the big problems that we are facing is, let me take the crime issue. Are we able to detect crime before it actually happens? And I'm expecting that to be assisted. Let me show how. A few days ago, I was in the area, and I'm sure many of you have seen it in the media. I was in the area of Kodwa. And I came to the lab there, which in my own analysis, that lab existed for more than years. What technology can be used to detect that in advance? And I know that when you have that lab, it goes across number of areas in the province. How possible it is that that danger to the society is able to move from point A to point B without being detected? I need an answer. And I don't think that it's only the Free State that needs an answer. On this one, I think the country needs an answer. That we are unable to pick up that one. The second one, that's crime. That's crime. One of the things that now I'm expecting, again, it's on the cyber, is that you would get one of the problematic area in the country, which is car heist. How can we best use the technology to deal with that matter? What we did now is that we said there has to be documentation of a driver driving his or someone's car having to cross the borders. It's not even part of the first industrial revolution. Still backward. But we then said, no, you must produce the registration of that particular vehicle to cross the river. Why can't we use technology in terms of fourth industrial revolution to respond to that? And I want to alleviate fears. And I was sitting there and listening. Hey man, when I did I thought it was and so on and so forth. You must look at areas in the fourth industrial revolution that will assist you to deal with the challenges that you're having. Not taking the whole package. Huh? Not take the whole package, look at issues that will help you. For an example, me, I'm saying in my own department, I need to respond to crime as and when it's on the stock theft. How do I prevent reoccurrence of stock theft to continue? Huh? Madam Premier, how do I deal with that? there is a technology that can be used to apprehend that, which basically, Prof, I can utilize it on my iPhone. It says to you, and I want to link the fourth industrial revolution to the growth of the economy, which I agree that we must link it to the Free State growth and development strategy. If I am able to reduce the stock theft crime using the areas of the fourth industrial revolution, in a way, I will be enhancing the growth in the economy of the province. I'm using a simple tactic of the chip that we used in the stock theft. You put it there, you are able to prevent theft before it actually happens. Lastly, on the roads, how do I then use technology to ensure that there is no lawlessness in the province? And once there is no lawlessness in the province, that on its own will then add positive impetus on the issue of the growth of the economy. That's where I'm moving from. And I'm not saying, I'm always a person who likes to make practical examples so that it must get into the brains of a person. If I know that when I cross Vaal River into the Free State, I know that there is technology that will track me down, one, if I transport illegal goods, two, if I am committing lawlessness in the Free State. You know what's going to say to an investor in the province? It's going to say to the investor, you get into that area. One, your business is secured. Two, you are equally secured. Three, you can respond positively to the health situation in the area. And you can actually reduce this thing even to the level of the municipalities. Program Direct, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ndadema Shenini. Very practical questions, and I am sure the brains that are sitting around here dealing with this matter are noting. I have seen all research in different departments as given by Dr. Kutse, and I'm sure that these are issues that should actually trigger research and development in the area. Thank you very much. I will now request Ndate Ngangisa to tell us about COCTA and what his expectations are. Thank you.
No, thanks, Program Director. Thanks, Premier. I must just welcome the good and very informative presentation from the doctor and the professor. I think as you were presenting, what was going through my mind was the problems I'm having and how best you can assist me to ameliorate those problems. One of my biggest problems is water. Other than drought that we're experiencing in the province and in the country, you have a lot of leakages and you lose 50% of the water you have at your disposal, which is highly unaccounted, and it's a loss of revenue for our municipalities, which they desperately need. They thrive on revenue collections. That's why you find us everywhere else making a call that everybody must pay services, because the existence and the functionality of municipalities is dependent entirely on that. Now, if you lose 50% of water and it's not accounted and you can't track, and often the people will come and say, you have a leakage here. You are unable to trace where the leakage comes from. And so if you have a system where you can track and trace when there's leakages anywhere in the system, you are able to track that. I think that could go a long way in helping addressing the water problem. The other issue, you have at least 3 rivers in the Free State where you source water from. And some of them have run dry. You have this one now, Vaal, affected by sewer spillage and everything else. But you are unable to know in advance or able to predict at what stage would you run out of your source water, where you source water from. So if you have a system that will be able to warn you, so that you already issue out warnings and people to understand how best they can preserve the water they have at their disposal. So you need that kind of a system. Of course, you can still use groundwater, which is not ever ending. You need to know the lifespan of a particular borehole, and of course you indicated that you need systems to clean that water for people to utilize. But as you dig boreholes everywhere else, you need to know the lifespan. You need that kind of a technology so that you know it's not ever ending. If you're able to pull out 3,000 kiloliters in an hour, how long is that going to stay at your disposal? You need that kind of system. The other issue I have as a problem is electricity. I'm excited that you have a smart way of coordinating electricity from various generators. But the problem is you are unable to detect illegal connection, where you have flow that is not accounted for, and beforehand you are able to nip it or you are able to give. So solutions I am looking for, to a large extent, are aimed at addressing such kind of issue.
Thank you very much, MEC. Clearly, you have a whole lot of problems, and I'm hoping that this summit is going to assist you. As much as Dade Mashinini has laid out his problems, what always surprises me with drivers in Dade Mashinini, I tend to go to the Natal site for Christmas, after Christmas, for holidays. And, okay, just one more.
Exploit. The last one is you have these robot systems everywhere in many areas. They go off, and you are able, unless you get someone who was either bumped or there was a collision, that's when you pick up there was a problem. Now you need something that will tell you somewhere along certain street the robot is off and you need to pick it up. So such solutions to make life easy. My only fear is that if you take away the intellectual capacity of people, giving it to robots, the next time you're going to have robots producing the next industrial revolution.
Thank you for that. I was just commenting to say, you know, the funny part is normally when people drive from this side of the country, immediately they get to Van Rienen Pass. Even if you are following them, they reduce speed automatically. Why is that? We need to analyze why is that. If you go to KZN, you go to Durban, I'm sure you pass more robots than there are in the Free State. And those robots are speed cameras that are just waiting for you to make a mistake, and they will nab you. So that's part of what the two gentlemen have to be assisting us with, and managing that remotely from some center somewhere. Now, there is the issue that was mentioned in the presentation about disasters. The prediction models for disasters and disaster management, our readiness for disaster management, and what it is that we need to do to be able to be ready at all times for different types of disasters. That is one thing that I don't sleep whenever I think about it. If we have floods, are we ready? If we have fires, are we ready? And so many other things. There are tornadoes coming up now. Are we ready? You know, it's a question that we need to answer so that the principals are able to say, let us plan in a particular direction. Matthew, there's a lot about biotechnology and health and bioengineering. Over to you.
Thank thank you, Dr. Ahmad. With me, as the presentation was the two presentations, let me also follow my colleague here, say we acknowledge the presentations. From where I'm standing as the Department of Health, I would say we are already there and we're already benefiting. All that we need to do is to take the fourth industrial revolution forward in the Department of Health. For the Free State now, we're already in the talks in trying to collaborate with the Central University of Technology on the 3D printing, where we are using what they produce at the university to help the people that have rare diseases like that would be having tumors on the face or on the head where they deform a person, and that person will get the implant at the university that is printed there, and the person will be there. We have patients that have already been operated upon with the implants that had been produced at the Central University of Technology. And we have a session, and we're going to be very soon in Pilonomi, we will be opening a center where we'll be working together with the Central University of Technology on that. So ours is just to make sure that we improve out of what we already have. The other issue that we already have is the issue of automated dispensary unit. We only have one at the moment, which is situated at Twin City Mall there at Teideda, where people are able to access the pharmacists that are not nearby. At the remote area, they can easily talk to the pharmacist at any time when they go to visit the automated dispensary unit where they get their medicines. We just need to multiply those and make sure that we have them in the rest of the province so that people are able to access their chronic medication without having to wait in queues in the clinics, say, and even in the hospitals. One of the important issues that the fourth industrial revolutions would be bringing to the health services would be to help, especially now that we are talking about universal health coverage in the national health insurance, where people will be able to access quality health, that they'll be able to access the help of the specialists, not having to travel from, let's say, Kwakwa or from Frankfurt to come to Bloemfontein Universitas or Pelonomi. They can access the help of the specialists where they are remotely because of the fourth industrial revolution. One of the things that amazed me that I witnessed at one time when we went to the National Health Council was the fact that a surgeon would be able to operate a patient, not with the patient here. The operation would be, the patient would be in Kwakwa, in a theater in Kwakwa, but the surgeon would be able to operate that person without being next to that person because of the robotics. So there's a lot that the fourth industrial revolution is indeed bringing to the Department of Health. One of the issues that I think with the coming the summit, we would want to be assisted with. At the moment, we are unable to. There are many people that have been that we according to the definition of the WHO, are said to be infected with TB without them knowing. So when we are using our own community healthcare workers in trying to screen the patients, we're not really doing much because it is said that Free State has got we have a population of 2.8 million, and they say within that 2.8 million, 10% of those people are infected with TB. So there's a lot of people that are infected with TB that are not on treatment. If we want to eradicate TB by 2030, a fourth industrial revolution must help us find those people that are undiagnosed at the moment. And there are indeed the apps that are being developed to help a person to be able to diagnose him or herself at home so that you're able to seek help earlier than you come late when there are already complications. Thank you.
Ramakoskars.
Bongwe.
Yo, I wanna go mebaile, ne? Health is gone. Health is gone. When that we need to tie up our socks and move and catch up. Matthew is already in it. She's not going for it. She is already in it and using it. It's just to enhance and make sure that our health system under the NHI becomes a success. We will be there with you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to ask the DG of the province to say from the government side, as the chief boss in government here on the administration, what are his expectations of the 4IR?
Thank you very much. Let me also take the opportunity to welcome the two presentations that were made by the colleagues next to me here. It is always a pleasure to have this matter continuously unfolded to develop almost a common understanding, because the different types of technologies are there, but we are not piggybacking on each other on what already exists in terms of taking our processes forward. One farmer next door introduces new technologies, and the crops improve, but your neighbor here does not introduce those. And what happens, just because of cross-pollination, you continue to have weak crops, although you have introduced new technologies. So that is basically also what happens in government. We do not integrate solutions that are there in order that we can create more efficiency of government. Now, we expect that if the Department of Health has been able to make a breakthrough on a particular area, we should be able to say, this particular breakthrough that we have made, what impact can this make on traffic or any other department? What does this solution, what impact can this solution have on matters that have been raised by MEC Cocter and so on? But the success that this summit would have brought, if we evaluate later on, would be learning from these individuals who are going to present, who are in countries that have created employment revolution through fourth industrial revolution. It has created a situation where the young people in those countries, some of them have become billionaires because they are ahead of innovation. And therefore, we are hopeful that this summit will once more provoke the sleeping giant in our young people in terms of bringing new ideas, but also in terms of ensuring that a government moves at the same pace as new innovations that come with young people. Because we almost meet them on a daily basis, we engage with them. We engage with new apps that they have brought to the market. And when we look at whether our systems in government can talk to these new developments that are coming, we find that we are almost 10 years back. Now, I've seen Lawrence here, a good friend of mine from the State Information Technology Agency. This is one institution, SETA, that must assist us to harvest these new ideas that are coming. They should actually be also very proactive in ensuring that government is able to harvest. It will not help that we have these new ideas emerging, but we cannot practically implement them to improve the competency of government, the ability of government to deliver services. I mean, the intention with this is basically to do that. One area that the Premier has pronounced is to try and harvest and create one center so that we do not have these technologies almost proliferating the government, but to create an integrated system which will create the capacity of government to piggyback, as I say, on innovation developing from one department to the other. But also, we want to have an understanding with the worries that we are having around people that are likely to lose jobs as business, as private sector starts using technology to the best of their ability. We want to understand that young people should be able to get into that space. There's not going to be a replacement, complete replacement of people by robotics and other technology that is there. But how do we position ourselves as mines introduce e-mining? How do we position ourselves as the Free State government when agriculture introduces e-agriculture, e-manufacturing, e-commerce? Already, we are facing a situation where banks in the Free State have closed a number of branches in our smaller towns. They are literally becoming ghost towns, and those employees have been retrenched. You've heard about the big strike that was supposed to be there, which was interdicted. Those people are going back to say, our tellers, ordinary people have lost jobs because of apps that have come on our, cell phones. Anybody can transact anywhere, and therefore you do not need these branches of these banks anymore. Standard Bank has started in a big way. ABSA did introduce that. NetBank has reduced its scope. What are we going to do with people that have accumulated a lot of knowledge over time in terms of the banking system in our country? So all these sectors, we are going to have, this summit must actually try to bring some solutions with regard to how are we going to do that. And us in the office of the Premier, we will then be able to coordinate all these efforts and ensure that they are realized. If the center holds, all these other issues should actually be able to be realized at the end of the day. And we appreciate the fact that this will not just be a once-off process, but then it conscientizes us, then we will be looking forward on implementation. As I say, we will have to enhance some of the existing capacities that are there. There's a lot of vandalism of electrical power stations, a lot of vandalism on water treatment and wastewater treatment plants. What type of new technology are we going to bring forth to ensure that even when somebody tampers with cables, cable theft is a lot is happening, how are we going to be able, working with our municipalities, to strengthen that? Because Nchalokoto Onaiwale doesn't work anymore. We are going to have to strengthen our capacity of reaction, because but we experience in Machabe now. MEC Machining has talked about this theft and vandalism and other things that are happening, crime. But in Machabe, we're almost losing millions per month. The municipalities are unable to do that because people are tampering with both wastewater treatment, water treatment, and all that. These are issues that we are going to have to devise solutions to can be able that we have a better reaction into that as government, and we are hoping to coordinate, working with our partners here to make universities to make these solutions work. I think we have not used our local universities to the maximum to provide solutions to what we in government are unable to deal with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DG. I would want to have some responses before I call on Ne from Ntate Ngoi and Ntate Kutse on the challenges that have been espoused by our principals. Let me start with you, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think one of the comments that was made was, should we be afraid of 4IR or not? And I think that is not the right question. The question is, should 4IR be afraid of us? I'm going to rephrase the question. As a younger person, I think this actually is quite as a challenge. You know, there are nice opportunities coming our way. And my appeal always to my students is, go out there and go find a real problem. Bring it back to the university and let's see how we can solve it. That's been my goal since I've started university. And to the younger people here as well, I want to say to you, if you know of a problem, think how can we solve it using 4IR? That is what we should try and do. Because we all know of the problems. This is not new problems to us. But somehow these problems are overshadowing our lives. Not how it's happening. So as a scientist, I always say to my students, go out, find a problem, bring it, and let's see what we can do about it. And I like all these things coming out. And I want the summit not to be once off, but to be every year after this, hopefully, growing and growing and growing, and hopefully become the best summit in South Africa, talking about 4IR. Because why not? Why can't the Free State not be the best? There's no reason why we can't be the best. So that would be my message, is go and, all young people, attend the summit. Talk to your fellow young ones and say, bring your problems, come and listen, and if you want to study further, do a master's, do a PhD. It's interesting, if you look at the countries currently dominating the world in terms of technologies, it's those countries that produce the most PhDs. We're talking about China, we're talking about India. So those are the countries that's actually driving 4IR. It's not the US, it's not Europe. It's actually the countries doing the most PhDs. So maybe as a government and as a country, we should actually be saying to ourselves, how can we take our innovation to the next level, produce more patents, and then set the example for the rest of Africa? Because I think Africa is an untapped resource. We can really go into Africa and Africa can actually dominate. If you think of the population, in terms of the age distribution, talking about minerals, resources, we actually got everything to actually dominate 4IR into the future. That would be my message.
Thank you for that challenge to young people in particular.
I don't know. Okay, thank you, Director of Ceremony. I'm very intrigued by the presentation by the MECs, because you put very practical issues which are on the ground. And we cannot talk about 4IR technologies if we can solve those problems. So, as we say from the beginning, is that these technologies exist. Is that they don't exist everywhere in the world. Each technology is mentioned here is working somewhere. And one good thing about 4IR is that the world has become a small village. Anything which is happening in New Zealand, for example, if you have got the proper network, you can get that information and implement here. So the issue which Mr. Mashinini raised, the issue of security and monitoring. The infrastructure for 4IR is in two ways. One is where you put monitors, or let's say sensors. For example, you place cameras in strategic places, and those cameras are multi-purpose. Because the good thing about the camera is track movement of anything which happens there. So if your infrastructure in the province is such that the cameras are placed in a way that it will be able to detect movement everywhere, then we find that the issue of crime will go down. But hand in hand with that one, you also need to know the people who are in the place. Because you see, if you see many countries, they can tell you in almost 99% of the people who are in the country. But if in a country you have people who can come in and go away without being known that in that country, that's why you have a lot of crime. Because there is incentive that you go out there, you do crime, you go out, and nobody knows what happens there. So countries have been able to identify that when you enter the country, you are put on the database. And their cameras are so sensitive that if you commit a crime, the facial recognition compare with what is in the database with you, within a few hours, you are caught. Because you find out that the police and all these law enforcement agents, they have access to the pictures which are on the database. So if a crime is committed, the camera will say, this is the person who committed that. So all police have got that information. So wherever you move, the NABI. So let's put it this way, that we need to have that infrastructure as a basic thing. Then you talk about stock safety, etc. There are issues of using monitors, where we have sensors and we have your stock. It's a sensor, and you can use the central point to be able to monitor them. So when it comes to the issue of water, the countries are already solving that problem. Because what if we have got a pipeline and you put sensors at strategic points? If there is a leakage, you know exactly, this is the portion where there is leakage. Not here. You're not in the darkness. You know exactly this portion here is where we have a problem. So then you can take your people to fix that place. And if we have got that, our networks, water supply network has got those sensors, then within no time you're going to be able to solve that issue. That go hand in hand with electricity also. Because electricity, we have sensors at several points, and if you see a leakage from point to point, then you can pinpoint. Then it is out here and you go out there. Okay, let's just mention again that these technologies are there, and the reason we have this summit is for people now to be able to be aware that these are the dealers across the world, and it's possible for us to bring these things in place. Thank you very much.
Okay, there's a follow-up from MC Mashinini.
No. We must alleviate fears if we want to move ahead. Why I'm saying that point is that when we get into deeper into the fourth industrial revolution, as the Free State, don't get into ways or means of a fourth industrial revolution and add pressures to the province. What do I mean by that? Don't replace human beings with machinery, because you are adding pressure. And that's where the fear is. The fear is, I want to be assisted to detect crime. Huh? I don't have that resources to add more. I want to catch crime before it happens. You know what is the challenge? The challenge of many people is to say, le nto kuthiwa i-fourth industrial revolution izoreplace abantu ngama-robotics. Meaning, people when they are supposed to be employed will not be employed. I think you people, you must explain that. Because that's the crux of the matter. Don't replace people. You rather skill people that they can do more. Don't replace them, because when you replace them, where are you putting them? You are putting them into the street.
Okay, interesting response.
Thank you for the question. So we used this example in the classroom when the cell phone came into being. Everybody at Telkom thought they're going to lose their jobs because cell phones is going to replace, landlines. But actually quite the opposite happened. So Telkom employees became Vodacom, MTN, Cell C employees, and now it's a massive, massive industry. So I fully agree with you. So 4IR is not something that will replace humans. It will actually just make our lives easier, and will create new jobs we not even thought about. That's what's going to happen.
Thank you. Interestingly, the responses actually tell us which direction we are going to be taking. And it means more problem solving through research and development. It means developing the young ones, SMMEs, innovation and incubation, Ngoi. It means to stay focusing on SMME development, emerging farmers, using these technologies. And clearly, there is scope for change. I like one that the Mashinini said. We are always afraid of change. But in reality, change is the only constant in life, if you look at it. From day to day, there is change. Otherwise, we are a dead society. So with that, I'm going to request, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Mantombela to give us a few words whilst you are seated there. Mayor, over to you.
No, I want you to sit.
It's fine.
Okay. You want to go, that's the point.
Yo, an easy thing, the machinery. It's very difficult. Forward, we fire. Forward. You know, let me just apologize for being late. I had a very serious meeting this morning, Wabomme. So I had to forced to say, no, I must be here. So I'm happy I'm here. You know, on my way, I received a call. Some young people from Maluta Pofu called me, and he said to me, I've seen something from the Facebook that you are launching, you are having a media briefing this morning. Where are you? I said, no, I'm on my way to that media briefing. He said, it's a summit of Fourth Industrial Revolution. I said, yes. He said, oh, not to say I'm undermining you, but this summit, man, last time it was a summit of economy and Tatemakalo. This week is another summit. Don't you think it's too much of summits? And truly speaking, Memantombela, we are unemployed. And how much are you using for this summit? How much are you spending for all this summit? We are unemployed. We don't have water here in Kwakwa. Electricity is the problem in Kwakwa. Don't you think Okampa Watla Kwakwa and come and concentrate here in Maluta Pofu and use that money that we are going to spend on summits to come and assist us, committee, etc. Do you think, seriously, that thing, that summit of 4IR is going to assist us? Because indeed, I said, what we are going to do, we are trying to fast track the unemployment issue. And I said, okay, don't you want to be part of the summit? Can I arrange that you must be part of the summit so that after the summit, then we'll discuss. Then he said to me, okay, that's fine. I will call you. I want to register. I want to be part of the summit. So I just want to say, yes, you must all remember, or after this summit, cannot just be a summit for the sake of us having a summit. It must be a summit that will come with the resolution that indeed are resolutions that are going to be implemented. You must indeed remember that we do have 744,000 young people in the Free State that are unemployed. So we must not just go to the summit, just go there and say whatever we want to say. Then thereafter, next year again, we have the same summit. But after the summit, we are doing absolute nothing. Remember, in the Free State, we have so many different challenges, but our main two challenges
must change the economy of the Free State. Because if we are not going to change the economy of the Free State, unemployment is the biggest challenge that we have in the Free State. So I just hope, Professor, Doctor, you are definitely going to assist us, that after this summit, we must be able to say, this is what we are going to do, when are we going to do it, and this summit is going to assist us, Huyeza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and indeed, we are going to change the economy of the Free State. 744,000 are young people. And these 744 young people are, of course, the future of the Free State. So please, let us be clear. With this summit, next year when we have a summit, we must be able to, this summit has assisted so many young people, and got the way forward, not to say we are going to repeat the very same summit. Indeed, Doctor, I could hear that you are answering my question, because the first thing, Lynn, you must remember, that education, Bantu education, so I was also a little bit, not comfortable, just like you in the day machine, when I hear that robotic, now it means robotic is going to do almost everything. But after the discussions that I've heard here, I said, in fact, these people are going to make our work a little bit easier. It means we are going to have things a little bit better and a little bit easier. So please, we must be ready. 4IR is already here. Young people must be ready, must just say we are here, we are prepared to learn, and we must just say we are waiting for the summit next week, and we are going to build the Free State that we want from next week. Good luck. Let's hope things are going to be fine next week. Thank you very much, and good luck for next week. Yalibo.
Thank you very much, Premier. That was a very nice pointer to exactly where we should be going. So in other words, ladies and gentlemen, what our task is to ensure that we utilize the power of digital technology to do things differently in order to save time and cost, and to improve the convenience of technological use, at the same time ensuring
it's 12 hours.
Reliable services out of technology. I think that summarizes exactly what we need to make our lives much easier. With that, we have come to the end of our panel discussions, and we are now going to invite general questions. I will limit questions to one a person. Don't ask too many questions, and don't be windy. Make sure that you are quick and to the point, succinct. Thank you. Can I have a show of hands? The light is in my eyes, so I'll struggle a little bit, but I will see the hands.
Right there on top.
There's a hand on top where? Raise your hand, let me see it. There's a lady up there. There's a gentleman with the mic here. Who else? Let's start with you, Mayor. Have you got a mic there? Okay, let's start with the gentleman whilst the mic comes to you.
Okay.
Please ask your question.
Prof, when you did your intro, you did introduce the people that you've invited. I'm not too sure whether the stakeholders like Telkom, I see Celsi is here, Vodacom and MTN. Those are the people that I think they would really make this venture, they would add more value as far as it's concerned. And now that we're talking youth employment, youth, they are very, very active when it comes to social media. And social media is costly for starters, but it is an opportunity for the very same youth to be developed. Now, may I just ask you, is it possible that you could have those people, SLC and MTN and Vodacom, for them to be able to come? Because there's so much. Look, we're running an online radio station. There's opportunities for young people to be employed there. You know, we need television in the province, you know, and youth can be employed, and they are really into that kind of a thing. So it would be okay, really, if you could invite those people so that we all sit under one roof next week and we discuss and see where we can meet each other as far as these opportunities are concerned.
Before you shoot me, Ndate, this is just a media briefing in preparation for the summit. All stakeholders are invited, and please register on the registration link, which is Free State 4IR Summit. It's one word, lowercase. Free State 4IR Summit. The IR is caps, IR. Free State 4IR Summit.org. You go to that link now on your cell phone and register. You will be registered. So we are already with the technology. Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. I just have one question. This is amazing. This is all very interesting. And as a young person of the Free State, I'm very worried about our country. And I'm very worried about the Free State in general. I just want to ask, in all of this, does anybody have an education plan? And what I mean by that is that, one of the panelists asked is, are the people afraid of the technologies that are coming with the fourth industrial revolution, or should they be afraid of us? Now, the thing is, knowledge liberates. And the reason why we are where we are as a country at the moment is because most of the youth lack knowledge. Now, going around the different communities, that we are not exposed to certain things, and we do not know how certain things operate. So in this improvement of technologies, is there any plan where we are going to educate? Because we need to remember that us as black people get educated for liberation, right? So is there any plan where we the people on how to receive this fourth industrial revolution technologies and mechanisms and everything that's interesting about improving the economy of the country? And then again, how are we educating the youth to actually participate in eradicating the unemployment through these technologies, of which we know half of nothing about? So is there an education plan from anyone on how we can approach this effectively and efficiently as a province?
Thank you for the question. My student, Kikopalieme, because me halibona ha fisher. Where are you? CUT students, can you stand up? Now, Ndadengoi, explain to me who these people are in answer to her question.
Okay, I think your question is very fundamental, and I'm going to answer in 3 stages. When you look at the education, there are those youngsters, grade R, until you reach college. And then there are those people who go to college. And then there are those people who have not been to college. So if we have to participate in the fourth industrial revolution, the key word here, we must be digital. We must have digital competency. So how do we approach now to make sure that everybody is digital? So the group which I talk about, the one who have not come to tertiary education, we have the STEM Academy, which is the premier launched last year. That STEM Academy is bringing these youngsters to the university and expose to them what is this digital technology, to understand how the university works. And we want to make sure that every school has the opportunity to bring those youngsters to understand these technologies before they reach tertiary education. Then when they come now at the tertiary level, The issue is that some people do not study the technology. They study arts, etc. And they think 4IR is for people who are in engineering, in sciences. But it's for everybody. So what we want to do here is to make sure that everybody is digital. And the issue, like the trainees who are here, we are working very closely with the commission, the 4IR commission, which has been set up with our partners in Gauteng, to make sure that the youth who are in our database are trained in different technologies. These technologies for this group which is here, there are 4 of them. And we believe that at the end of the day, they're going to be competent in carrying out those technologies. The question now, what happens next? Because you don't want to train and then give a piece of paper. We already have in mind, and thank you, Premier, she has given us 5 million to start the Innovation Hub. So that when they finish their skills and they've got an idea, then they can come to the Innovation Hub and develop that idea. They can develop an app, for instance. And at the Innovation Hub, we have mentors who will help them go through. We have got financial institutions like banks, venture capitalists. When the good ideas, they find a good idea, they finance it. So we believe that it will be a pipeline that we get the basic training, then we get opportunity of coming with the idea, with the mind of getting business at the end of the day. Then the last category is our people now who have not gone to school, but they need to participate in this 4IR. We can't exclude them. So now we're working with NEMISA. They have given us funding to make sure that people who don't have tertiary education, who have never done anything, we can introduce them to digital technologies. So when you have got your phone and somebody sends you money, you are not going to start asking, what do I do with this one? You are able, as an old man in the township, to use your cell phone to get the money which you have. So the basic thing about being digital, we have put them in place across board. And Ramashini talked about mindset change. For this summit, we are not going to allow any kind of paper. If we have to change that mindset, people should understand that you should be digital. You must come with your cell phone, which gives you all information. Who's going to present, what is going to be presented, and you'll be able to follow those presentations. For those who don't have cell phone, we request they borrow, so that they can see how it works there. That is going to be a training, the first training. And of course, we shall put screens for those who don't have anything to be followed. But please, we want to win ourselves from paper to understand. That is a mindset change. And if we don't change that one, we'll be stuck in the paper going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mewabone here, I think your children are there, the unemployed graduates. We are going to mine that database to make sure that we reskill.
Yeah, Premier, what I like about the topic is that how do we infuse areas of fourth industrial revolution to our Free State growth and development strategy? Quite often, you realize that people think that the only way for me to survive is by going and look for a job. Why can't you be a job creator? Who said you will not be a job creator? And when you get into create job, you already start to enter the mainstream of the economy. And I want to go back, Prof, to this mindset change. What it says, and I can ask many people here, after completing whatever studies that you are doing in the university, where do you think you're going to land? No, I want to see myself in a beautiful office and working and wearing a tie or beautiful dress and so on and so forth. That's not what the fourth industrial revolution says. It says to you, firstly, you must know, the first thing, we have too much produced a certain skills that is not needed by the economy. Truth be told, we produced too many people that are human resources. And guess what? They can't get job. But fourth industrial revolution says to you, research, link it up with the Free State growth and development strategy will show you the career that you must follow. Will tell you exactly the career that you must follow. If you miss that one, you put the cat before the horse and want to take the shortcut, you will not be able to address or follow what the fourth industrial revolution, because it says, use the technology. Huh? You are saying so, Prof. Use the technology. Aye, man. Freystata is in agriculture. I want to make this one typical example. Here, the presentation showed you the opportunities that are there in agriculture, that you can use the technology for. You respond directly now when you are in school to say, hey, Kiboni Hore, hunali this opportunity. Hey, PRT nali this opportunity. Hey, Kokta inali this opportunity. Hey, the private sector, you spoke about MTN and Telcom, you know, all these things. What are the opportunities that are there? You do the research and you get into that. When you follow your career, you already know that I am following the right channel and I'm gonna get into the economy. And when I do that, I actually reduce numbers of unemployment. When I started here, I began to think to say, the only thing that we must guard the fourth industrial revolution space not to be abused. That's what we must guard. The abuse part of it, let me see, Tembeni, it's by replacing people with machinery at the expense of the high rate of unemployment in the province. I argue. Don't follow that direction, but make sure that you respond to the economy and the need of the province.
Thank you very much, MEC. That is a challenge to the young ones. But let me just say, you know, for interest's sake, what do you think is the safest country in the world? The safest country in the world. Maybe let me not say country. What is the safest city in the world? Eh? Kigali. What's the safest city in the world? You know. I see you don't know. Dalema City.
Korea, South Korea.
Which city?
Gombe.
He's giving you the country. The safest country in the world is Korea, South Korea. And why is it so? Because life there is digital. Everything is on a digital platform. Whatever you do, the cell phone is your life. Whether you are studying, whether you are traveling, whether you are booking a restaurant, whether you are doing anything you do is on a digital platform. From the moment you enter that country, they already know who's coming by which plane, landing at what time, in which airport, and where are they going to stay, which hotel, and what's their room number, before you even enter the country. They know. The minute you enter immigration, they take your photo. It links all your data to the big data. They know if you're a criminal, they have your CV, they have everything about you. So that is the power of digital technology. And what Ndadema Shenin is saying about reducing crime. Now, not only that, in agriculture, Ndadema sitting here among agriculture, you have seen the applications. We have drought, over drought, We have other things, Renalebo, what is that famous worm that always hits us? They call it the fall army worm, which is always there. But if it can be detected early enough, control is so simple and so easy. So with that, I'm simply saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, the sky is the limit when it comes to digital technology. And what we are about to witness in the summit says to all of us, let's be there. Let us register. Please, I've given you the link. If you need it again, Ladema Palla will make sure that he provides that link. For the print media, help us to print that link so people can see the link and register. With that, my MEC is...
Can I raise something quickly, which is very disruptive of this fourth industrial revolution? It has disrupted our lives, our normal human lives, wherein people connect and on a constant contact and communication with distant people, and are very distant with people they are with at all material times. They sit together, they no longer speak to each other, they speak to other people outside the room. And it disrupts the social life and the quality time they spend with people outside where they are. I am sure it's a serious social problem. It has broken families. People are reading WhatsApp messages that are very dangerous to each other. So that disruption as well must find a way to deal with it.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, allow me to request the Honorable Premier to close the session.
No, thank you. Young people, we are doing this for you. This future is now your own future. I'm always saying 20 years to come, some of us will not be here. This 4IR, it is in your hands. So please be there next week. Time has come for you to create jobs, not to be job seekers. Oscar is already introduced. It is your future, it is in your hands. Oscar Salamrao. Be there, be ready for next week. Go and register and go and encourage others. 20 years to come, we will not be here. Most of us here. It is in your hands. How we Banna, let's build the Free State we want. Thank you very much. See you there next week. For instance, we have also invited, I have discussed with some of the premiers, and they have promised, in fact, they are very much interested to send some of their youth from different provinces, because we want to have youth from a panel of youth from different provinces, so that they must come and tell us what is it that they want us to do as different premiers from different provinces. So different youth from different provinces, that they will be able to tell us what is it they want us to do from their provinces. And I'm happy our universities will be there also to inform us, to come and assist us. It is up to you. There is absolute that we can do. But we are definitely going to be there next week. Good luck, Kialebo.
Thank you very much. Closed. Premier, Sichaba, where are you? Oh, here. Group photo, please. Panel. The students. Yeah. Students. Group photo for the panel, followed by a photo with the students. Okay. Good. Kenna. Yeah, let's take the. Masiteng Nokweku, where are you? Oh, he's there.